two pedestrians, minority pedestrians, that is worth noting, just walking down a Philadelphia street, and they were accosted by a couple cops. We've got 3 pieces of video that we're going to show you. Let's go to the first one.
Yep. How you doing, sir? Come here. You got ID? That seems to be the problem.
Huh? You got ID?
No,
you live around here?
You're going to work.
You know that guy sitting down there on the step?
No.
You know the guy that was sitting down there on the step putting his boots back on? And why were you talking to him?
I was just saying hi to him.
Why? You don't say hi to strangers.
Why not?
Not in this neighborhood.
Hold on. Just search yourself.
No, I'm not asking you for consent. I'm gonna fucking get on because I just told you to. Don't fucking play though. You'll be on the fucking same block as him. We'll kick your ass too. You get back here.
What?
And put your phone in the pocket.
Boy, I gotta put my phone in the pocket. I ain't doing nothing.
Okay, well,
come on, officer. I'm sorry, officer. I didn't do nothing.
You're under investigation right now.
Investigation of what? I was walking.
But that's not what I saw.
I was walking. I wasn't even.
You're gonna see violation and you keep running out when I split your wig open.
Okay, so as I said, that piece of video is from September 27th. It's taken about 3 weeks to sort of get this to the viral level, and we're going to show you some more in a bit. But I mean, just off face value of what we just saw right there, is this happening every day in America? This kind of stuff, and now that we have cameras, we're seeing more and more of it.
Yes. That's happening every day. In fact, I mean, you can imagine being a black or Hispanic in New York. We've talked about it on the show, Stop and Frisk.
Yeah.
They've stopped and frisked over 5 million black guys, more black guys than even live in the city.
Yeah.
So this is happening all the time, and it's not isolated. And, you know, I just think it's crazy the way we can turn an eye to a blind eye to this, especially after what happened during Occupy Wall Street, when cops from coast to coast showed that they don't give a shit whose head they bang in, whether it's an old lady or a pregnant woman or a Iraq veteran. They'll jam a canister into his head. So they don't care. And this is a culture. It's a culture that has been started with the drug war in the 80s, and it's continued after 9/11. It gave them even more power. Now they're just doing this.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been dealt with by the cops, by the way. Every time I've had an interaction, except when I was held up, they were nice to me. But that's usually how I've been dealt with by the cops. So,
right.
And I'm white. I can't imagine how it is to be a minority in America. You get treated like that all the time.
Right.
So I think these new cameras that are so portable make a gigantic difference, because during the civil rights era, it's not like all of a sudden black people were mistreated. It's all of a sudden people started seeing it on TV, right? And it made a giant difference. So now, are black people used to getting treated like this in places like Philly, New York, et cetera? Only forever, right? But for the first time, we're seeing it. And if you haven't been treated this way, because whether you're white, you're rich, or you live in the suburbs, whatever it might be, right? Like I grew up in the suburbs. Yeah, we'd run into issues with cops, but it was kid stuff, right? It wasn't like this.
No,
right?
not like
it was
that.
basically
Right.
go home. It's dark out.
Right.
Kind of
And I think a lot of people look at that, and if they didn't grow up in a nice environment, they think like, I don't even understand why you guys are making a big deal. This is everyday life. This is what happens. Cops come and harass you, etc. But I think what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of people in this country have never seen that. Like when they think cop, they think that's the guy who protects my house. They think like, oh, don't be ridiculous. They're not going to pull you over for nothing. And first thing the guy said was, the guy that they were accosting, he said, how you doing, sir?
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh yeah, don't give me that lip, okay? And he said, you don't talk to strangers. Now, I actually talk to strangers, right?
Yeah.
But I live in places where it's not a big deal, where the cop isn't going to pull you over for talking to strangers. And in fact, they'd be like, wow, what a swell, friendly guy, right? So that's why I'm trying to get at different perspectives. That's why it's so important to see this perspective, so you go, oh, that's how they get treated every day.
Yeah, and speaking of perspective, don't you think there's something about the perspective that this is coming from the pedestrian's camera phone as opposed to the dashboard camera? Because I feel like we see a lot of those. The dashboard camera one, and then somehow because it's coming from the police car, there's some weird implication that somehow they're right because they got in that mess. It's their camera in their car. But seeing it from the pedestrian side, it actually somehow seems worse. I think.
Right, and look, I want to just make one thing clear. If he was talking to a guy on the stoop, it's not an unfair assumption by the cop that, hey, maybe the drug transaction happened, right? So that's why I'm pulling him over and stuff, right? But you don't have to treat people like crap, right? And you don't have to be so hostile as to provoke a reaction, which you know is going to multiply.
And that's precisely what happened here. So let's watch the second clip, which is actually mostly audio because the camera looks like it froze up.
You asked me why I stopped you. I said, how do you know that we didn't get a radio call?
You're looking at it from where you are, but you're not looking at it from where we are. You don't know what we know or what we got information on, right?
You accusing me of robbing
I didn't
somebody?
accuse you of anything. Can you hear? I said we could have got a call that somebody wearing the clothes that you're wearing just robbed somebody. That's why we stopped you. So is that wrong of us?
No.
All right.
But are you supposed to grab me up like this? No.
Grab you up, I'll grab you any way I got to. Why don't you shut up? Everybody thinks they're a fucking lawyer and they don't know jack.
Okay, so the question there is just fascinating. How do you know we didn't get a radio call? That's what he's saying to the guy. He doesn't say, we got a radio call.
Right.
How do you know we didn't get one? And then the guy says, are you accusing me of anything? And then he doesn't even double down and say, well, I am accusing you of something. It's, again, the question.
Right.
You know?
So you're not accusing me of anything, but you're just treating me as if I'm a criminal.
Yeah.
But you're not accusing me of anything, and you're being completely disrespectful, and you're trying to provoke me. And the cop gets to talk to him any way he wants, but the citizen has to watch his mouth.
Yeah, and didn't you think he was actually being respectful?
Yes!
Even in his answers. I thought.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
All right, I actually want to go to the last part here because, again, the camera's video is gone at this point.
So I think
You
the cop made him put it in his pocket, and that's
Right.
why we don't have any video.
That's right. And remember that the cop said right in the beginning, you're under investigation.
Name?
Cool, that's a motor vehicle ID, right?
You getting smart because you'll be in the
just
fucking
telling
car
you.
with him.
I'm just
fucking
telling you.
smart ass.
I'm just telling you.
I'm asking you, what the X is? That your middle name?
Of course, what is it?
Don't come back with the what is it fucking shit. Talk to these fucking pigs on the street that way. You ain't talking to me that way.
I don't talk to
What?
nobody in the street. I don't hang with nobody.
Well, then
out
don't
here.
come to fucking Philadelphia. Stay in Jersey.
I have family out here.
Yeah, well, then don't come over here.
Yeah.
We don't want you here anyway. All
Yeah.
you do is leak in the fucking country.
Yeah,
Wow.
how weak in the country? How weak in the country? By working?
No, freeloading.
Hey, freeloading off of what? Yeah, what are you
Wait,
talking
where you
about? I live in Camden, Jersey.
Ooh, that's
Oh,
a real
Camden's real
hotspot.
nice.
Yeah.
That's just as bad as this. Actually, it's worse.
And you know why Camden's so bad? Because no one likes the police. Nice neighborhoods, they like the police.
Yeah.
But bad neighborhoods, they don't.
You serve and protect them.
We serve and protect everybody who wants to be served and protect.
You ain't serving
There's
them-
good people out here I like to talk
You're
to and protect, but there's assholes who want to give me a hard time
You're
all the time.
not protecting me by stopping me.
See, that's the critical part, right? So the first part's interesting because of the interaction that you see that happens probably every day, right? But that a lot of people don't get to see. The second part really gets to the core of why they stopped. Okay, you're freeloading.
Yeah.
But the guy said over and over again, "I'm going to work. I'm trying to go to work."
Yeah.
Right. Like now, I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but why would you assume he's freeloading if he's telling you I'm trying to get to work?
Right. What does that even mean? The guy's walking down the street. You're freeloading.
You're freeloading.
Right.
Well, because he's black, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's
no,
what-
no,
that- but that's what he's saying.
exactly it,
Right.
right? And he said you're weakening the country.
Yeah.
Right. So there you have it. I mean, that's the assumption.
And profanity laden, by the way. Profanity. You wouldn't be able to tell who's the punk in that. If you're just listening to it, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that guy must be the criminal. Can't stop swearing his head off at the other person. It's the cop.
Yeah.
It's the peace officer.
The bottom line is, I felt like I was listening to a Mitt Romney speech with the 47% or the freeloaders, et cetera. And here these guys are at the ground level, and you see the results of that at the ground level, right? So the assumption is good white folks are working, blacks are freeloaders, they're weakening the country. As the guy protests over and over, I'm going to work, right? And they're under investigation from the get-go. Because why? Because they talk to a stranger in the street and they're black. Well, obviously you're under investigation. That's the assumption. My assumption is you're up to no good. You're a bad guy. I have to harass in the street, and you don't work, and you're mooching off of me. And so of course I got a right to pick a fight with you, right? And that's what leads to conflicts and blow-ups and police brutality and everything else.
So how much doubt in your mind is there that this guy's a racist?
No, with those comments at the end, none.
There's no doubt, right?
None.
So that psychological screening that the cops do to get rid of this racist really working well.
Oh, and I bet you if you talk to those cops, they would, be absolutely outraged at the suggestion.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
To the point where they would bash your skull in if there was no camera around. Okay. And maybe if there was a camera around, right?
Yeah, he goes, I'll blast your skull and you're white. I don't give a shit. He would
Right,
say
right,
that.
right. And he would.
And
He'd
he
literally
would.
say that.
That's how not racist I am.
That's
Right.
how not racist I am.
And number three, he would almost certainly say, I got a lot of black friends, you don't know me, because on the force, I'm sure there's a lot
sure.
of black guys that they're friendly with, et cetera. But they don't go and tell them, hey, you know what, I think most of your people are freeloaders.
Right.
You're the exception.
Right.
You're the good guy.
Yes.
Okay? That we, because I see you're working here and I can't deny that. But I assume every other black guy I see on the street doesn't work for a living and is mooching off my money. So I got to go bust them because they're in essence stealing my money.
Yeah. So in the first part there, where the cop implied that maybe there's some sort of investigation, even though it appears that wasn't quite the truth. If there actually was an investigation, and let's say he said we're looking for a guy in a red sweater, and that's what this guy was wearing, would that change any of this for you? If the initial thing had been legit.
Can I go? You want to go first?
No, go ahead.
No, and here's why. You get out of the car. You say, "Excuse me, there's a suspicious call about a guy you're fitting your description.
Yeah.
You mind stepping over to the car so I can ask you a few questions?" That's how you talk to a citizen who might be innocent.
Right.
Because what if he's not, and now you've just done what this guy's done. And he lives with it. No problem. By the way, that guy sleeps like a baby. He's got no problem with it. So that's how, I'm like, how would he talk to Donald Trump? How would he talk to a white guy in a suit and tie who he had a call? There's a guy in a suit and tie walking down Broadway Avenue who just did something fishy. You wouldn't go up and say, hey, get the fuck, every guy in a suit and tie, get the fuck over here.
Yeah.
And what the fuck are you doing? You wouldn't do any of that. You would be respectful, and he would treat that person as if he might lose his job if he mistreats him.
Because
that's how he would talk. He would talk to that person the way he would want to be talked to, the way he would want his family members to be talked to, which is how they are talked to, by the way, nicely.
Yeah.
Because I was talked nicely to by police in Chicago because my father was a cop. And that was the first thing out of my mouth. My dad's a cop, and they were so nice to me. So I didn't have to deal with that stuff until I moved to LA.
Right. So, look, a lot of people would say, oh, Jimmy, you're being naive. These guys got a tough job. They're constantly in danger. They don't have time to be polite to people,
But they have time to be polite to white people.
But that's it. That's exactly it. So I think what police should be trained as, look, treat everybody as if they're actually citizens, like you said, and imagine that they're either just got out of their job on Wall Street, okay? Although that would make actually most citizens very angry. But for the cops, they're like, whoa, gloves off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, gloves back on. Yeah. Right? Like, no, okay? Yeah, kids' glove treatment. A lot of glove analogies here. All right, or they're in Beverly Hills. Because if they were in Beverly Hills, guy walking down the street, whatever it is. I mean, I keep coming back to that as just the symbolic rich folks, right? And there's such neighborhoods in every city and town, right? There's no way the guy comes up to a guy in Beverly Hills and says, what the fuck are you doing? Get over there. Right. Hey, maybe I got a call.
Yeah.
Maybe you're under investigation. You freeloader. Okay, because if that guy didn't do anything wrong, you're going to be in a world of trouble.
Yeah.